Next up, I would like to invite Chris Hayes, Director of UK India Business Council. Chris is a chartered management accountant with extensive knowledge of the financial professional legal services sector. Amongst his many other achievements, he also led the award-winning Liverpool Pavilion at the Shanghai World Expo in 2010. He will present on the wider India market opportunities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see so many businesses here, and great to follow Alan and I was talking about the whole opportunity of India. I'm one of the directors at UK India Business Council. Just to give you a bit of overview of what we do. So we're a not-for-profit organisation. Our sole remit is increasing trade and investment between UK and India. We don't look after any other geography. And we have offices in London and all over India. I'm delighted to be back in Belfast. A bit like Alan, I've not been here for about 20 years. I used to work for a company during a time when I was in university called Norse Irish Ferries. Some of you might remember them. They did the ferry between Liverpool and Belfast, and I had the best job in the world during university. My job was to drive all the brand new cars heading to Ireland over onto that ferry. So great as a 20-year-old driving all these cool cars onto that. It was fantastic. And as part of that, I used to get free trips over. I remember one spring, I decided to get my friends together. We all liked fishing. We liked to do a bit of sea fishing. So we took the overnight ferry all the way from Liverpool to Belfast, drove the 2 hours up to Portrush, started steaming out. About 2 hours in, I remember turning around to the captain and saying, "What are those islands in the distance?" To which he just replied, "Scotland." So you can imagine there was a bit of a sort of a laugh on my behalf on all of that. A huge thanks to Invest Northern Ireland for putting this event together, and it's testament to see how much interest there is in India by seeing how many businesses there are around the tables here. We're starting to see a lot more interest now from the various regions as obviously the UK starts to work towards that free trade agreement. I think Alan mentioned about the sort of the stats and the stat off, and you've heard so many statistics about India. I've picked just a couple which I think showcase what the opportunity is, and hopefully will showcase the opportunities for your businesses as well. So as been mentioned, India is predicted to become the largest population this year. So huge opportunities there in terms of the demographics and the scale. What probably hasn't been mentioned so far is that it's predicted that over the next decade, India alone will account for 20% of global growth. So imagine that 20% of the entire global's growth was coming from just that one country. So it just shows what the opportunity is there. Already been mentioned, India has just recently overtaken the UK as the 5th largest economy in the world. And recently it was predicted that that economy will become the 3rd largest by 2050, although a recent McKinsey report said actually that's more likely to be 2030 now. So huge economic growth that's happening there. Amit talked a bit about the middle class. 400 middle class at the moment, obviously the upper echelons as well, lots of requests for premium products, lots of opportunities in the food and drink sector, and I'll cover some of the sectors that we're sort of focusing on a little bit later in the presentation. The e-commerce industry is huge. At UK IBC, we've got a product now to support businesses looking to enter into India on a low-risk route. We work with lots of partners with UK Export Finance, with a company called Adyogi to support and get products over on various different platforms over in India. We recently just launched Quiz Clothing over in India and believe it or not, a high-end pet product company as well that produces all the leads, etc. for dogs. So huge opportunities there within that sort of area. Another stat that obviously Northern Ireland is very famous for the engineering, technology, aspirations and the activities there. A quarter of the global growth within the car industry will come from India. So again, huge opportunities in that EV space. And the final stat that I wanted to say, I'll cover more in the presentation later, is around the energy investments that are happening in India. And again, £500 billion is going to be spent over the next decade in India on its energy transition. So again, great opportunities there. Alan covered before a little bit about the trade between the UK and India. It's about 34 billion. That's up a third from the previous year. And that's without a free trade agreement. So India is currently our 12th largest trading partner. But obviously, when we have a comprehensive free trade agreement, that will only accelerate that. And of course, it matters to businesses and consumers when the 5th and the 6th largest economies in the world come together to look at that free trade agreement. This was all started in 2021 with a comprehensive strategic partnership. And as I mentioned before, we're already seeing the benefits of that with a third more exports happening between the two countries just in the last year alone. During that consultation period around the free trade agreements, we talked to lots of businesses. We ran over 20 workshops all around the country, various different sectors. And it was very clear that they came back to us that they all have huge aspirations for the free trade agreement, be that businesses in the UK and businesses in India. But they were very clear they want three things to come from the free trade agreement. Number one, the most obvious, a reduction in tariff. Alan mentioned before the 300% tariff on whiskey, which was reduced down to 50, and obviously aspirations to get that further down. Also tariffs on food and drink, tariffs on finished electric vehicles, for instance, as well. 150% tariff on any car imported into India over the value of $40,000, which is basically every single car. So how can we look at those tariffs, which is really important? But just as important, and something that UK IBC we work a lot on, is around the ease of doing business. So how can we make and reduce the barriers that are there, whether that is in paperwork, whether that is in alignment of international standards, to actually help make that as easy as possible to increase that trade and investments. So we're looking at things like aligning standards, simplification of customs procedures. And of course, one of the most important areas as we all move into this digital age is the protection of IP, data protection, and how we enable those businesses to interact and transfer data between each other. So for us, it's been really important that we look at that area as well. I think a lot of sectors have already been covered. Obviously, Emma covered food and drink, and Alan covered a few as well over the areas. What I've tried to do is I've tried to pick out four which I think look at those bigger opportunities for me. And what I've tried to do is I've tried to map that against the strengths of Northern Ireland as well and show what India is looking for. We start off with advanced manufacturing. I think we mentioned before, India is on a huge growth stream in this area. It's looking to create 6 million new jobs in their manufacturing sector, and they've got a brand new initiative there called Made in India. So it's very important that businesses understand what that actually looks like, ensuring that you have the right partners, and thinking that you're just going to be able to export a product from the UK straight in to India is going to be challenging. So you need to consider that. And Alan mentioned before about India is trying to create joint venture partnerships. And that was seen in the recent Indian budget, where they've created a preferential tax rate now of 15%. So if you enter into a joint venture with an Indian business and manufacture that product in India, the tax rate will be lower for you as part of that initiative. They also have what's called production-linked incentives, and they're currently available across 14 key areas where the Indian government looks at huge opportunities there. We're also expecting a brand new production-linked incentive to come out very soon on cell technology as India drives towards EV production. The next area, which is common to, I think, most countries across the world, is the opportunities around net zero. India is on a drive to be net zero by 2070, with an aim to meet 50% of its energy demands with renewable energy by 2030. A couple of examples there, and I think I was talking last night at dinner to some of these stats, which probably sound, absolutely phenomenal when you look at them. So at the moment, there is tenders out in India for 250 million smart meters. As a comparator, in the UK, we've been doing smart meters for about 10 years, and we've managed to get 25 million into homes. Now, that's not just an opportunity in terms of the production or the technology that goes into those smart meters, but actually around the data analytics, around all the software, around collecting that data from the consumers, understanding grid balancing, and also ensuring that the energy companies are able to reduce the amount of energy they need at those peak times. So it's not just in the initial areas, but there's lots of opportunities down the supply chain as well. India is also part of a campaign called EV30, where it wants 30% of all new car sales to be electric by 2030. Again, I work with Ola, I work with Tata, I work with lots of companies who are now designing and building those technologies in the UK, and then actually manufacturing those over in India. So utilising the capabilities and the skills and the engineering we have here as well. Other areas of strategic importance are recently we've been doing a lot of work with SECI, which is the Solar Alliance over in India, the body that looks after the generation of those energy systems from the sun. They need a huge amount of energy storage. So at the moment they are able to create and generate that electricity, but to be able to store it, to be able to utilize it, obviously when the sun's not there, is really important. And India also wants to be a leader in the areas of green hydrogen, so opportunities that are existing there. One of the new areas that we're starting to look at is around rare earth minerals. So at the moment, China looks after around 90% of the processing of lithium. So the lithium batteries that go into everything from cars to defense to mobile phones. And obviously a lot of countries are now looking to de-risk that. So they're looking at other strategies of their China +1 area. India currently has the 5th largest deposits of rare earth minerals, but doesn't have any extraction capability or processing capability. And you'll hear next from Phil, who sells the big machines that actually breaks those big rocks into the smaller rocks. But lots of opportunities further down the line as well in terms of supporting India of those areas. In February, there was the discovery of 5.9 million tons of lithium in India. And that find alone, they reckon, will help India to achieve its EV30 target by producing enough to be able to put back into the manufacturing. And the final area I want to cover is around professional services. Insurance sector is growing by 15% per annum and has recently been a liberalisation in this sector, whereas previously you were only allowed to invest in 49% into a business, into an insurance business or part of a joint venture. That has now been increased to 74%. And business services is still the largest export of services from the UK to India, whether that's logistics, design, engineering, accountancy, or even construction services. Lots of opportunities across those boards. And then finally, I think as mentioned by Amit, the fintech sector is huge. There is a huge rural community over in India that doesn't have access to the same banking infrastructure. So those 700 million people who have mobile phones are able to make those payments, and now India is one of the leaders in the fintech area. We're starting to see companies from the UK going over to India, like Revolut, like Tide, with their prepayment cards, employing hundreds of people and taking products into that market. I think I've given you an overview, hopefully, of the opportunity and everything that the businesses want to hear in terms of what the size and the scale of the market is. There's always a caveat, and I think it's all been mentioned before. It's really important to understand the market. It's really important to get advice and guidance. You have DBT, who have offices all over India. You have Investor in Northern Ireland as well, supporting. Invest India is the counterpart to DBT. And then you have lots of organisations we can support. There's Eds here from Sanam S4 that can support as well. So to get that advice and guidance before, and as Amit mentioned, it's got to be a long-term play. You're not going to go get an order on your first trip. You need to build up a relationship with those businesses. And the final thing that I just wanted to say in this segment is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So just trust your instincts and walk away if you need to from a deal. Final slide I wanted to show you, I wanted to give two things. Number one, there's my details. So feel free, email me, chris.hayes@ukibc, @chrishayes4 on Twitter. But also, I wanted to showcase this image, which hopefully you can just about see. But this showcases India in terms of its population in comparison to other countries. So where Alan lives in Maharashtra, same population as Japan. You can see down south, the States, same population as the UK, same population as Germany. So again, when you're looking at India, it's quite difficult to think of it as one country, but if you look at this image, think of it of all these different areas with the great opportunities and try to work out where your product is best suited into that. Finally, we've got 3 reports that we've just released. This one called The Art of the Possible. I've got a couple of hard copies here, but we do have them on our website as well. The Art of the Possible looks at the supply chain opportunities for UK companies into India. Our next in our series looks at the net zero opportunities, and one we released just last week is around talent and what the opportunities are around the acquisition of talent and the amazing Indian entrepreneurs that there are out there. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour, and thanks very much.